Eddie Bridgman likes to be beside the seaside. A director of Meanwhile Space, a community interest company that supports organisations to bring temporarily redundant buildings into use, Bridgman is also the director of the temporary Seasider Shop, which this summer aims to bring a taste of the British seaside to Londoners. The shop is part of a wider campaign to promote the regeneration of British seaside towns. Regeneration Renewal pulled up a deck chair alongside Bridgman and asked him about the campaign's goals.
The Seasider campaign is a 5-year campaign to promote the British seaside. The end game is to get people living and working in seaside towns, and the first step of that is getting people, I think, a new generation of visitors to the seaside. We are working with London boroughs to really try and promote various aspects, new activities that are happening in seaside towns to different groups of Londoners, and in due course it will be other cities as well. Each town has its own particular set of issues. I think there are 6 or 7 typical problems that seaside towns face, be it transient seasonal economies, large densities of HMOs, and typically seaside towns will have 3 or 4 of that wider bunch of issues, and it's really up to each town to tackle them as they see fit, clearly. But the more successful ones have focused at the moment, thinking of Scarborough, for example, which has won awards from, I think, the Academy of Urbanism for its various placemaking and urban design aspects, and it also was the most enterprising town in Europe, I think, last year. So that's focused very much on the public realm and stimulating enterprise. I think that's a great example. Otherwise, you can look at towns like Hastings, which has got quite a bold local authority, very strong sense of community, doing a whole wide different range of activities. It's investing in cultural aspects, and it's making sure the town looks smart. They're investing in their empty spaces, doing different sorts of activities, whether it's enterprise generation or just animating empty space to make the town an interesting place to be.
In July, as expected, the Coalition announced it would not renew the previous government's £45 million Sea Change programme of grants, designed to stimulate the economic recovery of coastal resorts. So Bridgman thinks that it is more important than ever for local authorities of seaside towns to make their voices heard.
Where the Coalition stands, I guess we'll get a better picture in October. Certainly the Tories had a coastal strategy pre-election, and the Lib Dems are very interested, I think, mainly from the energy generation perspective. But I think it's actually the seaside towns' responsibility to make sure that they're on the political agenda. They should focus on the opportunity they present for stimulating small business and enterprise as further education establishments, and to be destinations in themselves, to be part of the UK tourism economy, which of course they are, but actually really make domestic tourism the default option, and attract wider people. Instead of coach loads going to visit places like Cambridge and York, extend those visits to Scarborough, to Margate, Southend, wherever it might be appropriate. I recall a very simple campaign in Scarborough where they made sure each and every taxi driver that ferried people out of the station to wherever their hotel was spoke up, bigged up Scarborough, and that's the first impression people get of that town. The first person they speak to, if they are positive about it and signpost them where they will have a good experience, then that gets them off on the right foot.
Bridgman also thinks that pop-up spaces such as the Seasider Shop have a role to play in fostering a grassroots economy.
We actually came to Camden to this space for a bit of a break, because Camden Council have got, I think, one of the best plans for helping people get into pop-up shops. There's no negotiating with planning, no negotiating with the business rates team. Very simple, straightforward proposal process, and what it means is they've got animated empty spaces, activities happen. It's providing opportunities for things like Seasider to pilot and try things, for people to experiment with business ideas, for community groups to service a very local area, and on a simplistic level here, even on our first day when we were painting the front of the shop, 6 or 7 people walked past and said, I'd never noticed anything was here before. And I think, on a basic level, how the hell is that property going to get let if once it's empty, it vanishes onto the high street? If people are occupying places, it makes it a far more lettable proposition.